Okay, Oppenheimer. Let's talk about this movie because it's the bomb. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Before we get started, click on that red subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post a new piece of content. Okay, Christopher Nolan, he's the man, he's a G, he's the bomb. He makes great movies. The Dark Knight trilogy is great. I love Batman Begins. I think Batman Begins is like criminally underrated among the Batman films. Dark Knight is really good. I love The Dark Knight Rises too. Those movies are great. Insomnia, Inception, Interstellar. He went through a phase where he started all his movies with In. Memento. I mean Tenet. The guy's great. Some of his movies have done better than others. I've seen Tenet twice. I watch that movie and I get to a point where like I'm starting to understand it, and then I don't understand it at all. So, but everything else of his I just love, and there's parts of Tenet that I really do like. And what I love about Nolan is every movie feels like his magnum opus. I remember when Inception came out, all of the hype and all of the talk, and it felt really like he was doing something that could never be recreated. He was doing something and making something that could never be done again. And it felt like the best movie he would ever make. And I was wrong. He's made even better movies. I think Interstellar is a 10 out of 10. It's my favorite movie of his. And I think the guy is just a tremendous filmmaker. I love that he also started from like nothing. He didn't go to film school. He just started making movies. I love that about him. He seems very like down to earth in interviews and seems just like a kind of a regular guy who just really loves doing film and entertaining people. And this is the first time he's done a biopic, and this is a tremendous movie. It's anchored by a possibly Oscar-winning performance from Cillian Murphy. This is the best work he's ever done. I think this movie is outstanding. It's a little long, and that's really the only criticism I have of it. That's the only one. It's also very different than I expected, which I love. I expected this to be a movie that was like an in-depth portrayal of Oppenheimer and him creating the atomic bomb, and then, maybe a little snippet at the end regarding Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the movie ends, and, he has his concerns about, the monster that he's created, and of course, the famous line from the Hindu Bible, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. That's very prominent here, and that's very prominent here. It's a huge part of the movie. It delves into aspects of his life that I wasn't expecting. It was pretty well known that he had ties early in his life to communism, in his time in education. And all of that is dove into like head first. And Nolan doesn't skirt around the political issues of the day. He dives headfirst into them with Senate hearings and Oppenheimer getting his Q clearance revoked, or the hearing to get his Q clearance revoked for his security clearance and all this stuff after the Manhattan Project concluded. And yes, the creation of the atomic bomb and all that stuff is here, but that stuff, and it's a huge part of the movie. It's critical to the film, but it doesn't overshadow like the drama surrounding his life. He was a very enigmatic man, and you could wonder what his motivations were, and you could wonder what his life was like and his ties were like and who his loyalties were to. And the movie questions all of that. And I love that it doesn't really give us a definitive answer on who Robert Oppenheimer was. And I respect that Nolan doesn't coddle to the audience here. This movie is very raw. It's very sometimes like hard to stomach and hard to watch. And seeing what he went through to get this project done, the roadblocks he bumped up against, and then ultimately what it cost him, his life, his career, after everything he gave and sacrificed to ultimately create a tool that would end World War II. I think the movie just does a great job of portraying all of that. And of course, the question of, was the dropping of those bombs necessary to end the war? I have my thoughts on those subjects. They're not relevant to my review of the film, and I don't think they should be. But it asks those questions. Was this something that we needed to do? What was the ultimate, would we be able to wrap this thing up without having to drop these bombs? And it has some super prominent characters. Albert Einstein is a prominent character here. Uh, Lewis Strauss, who ultimately was kind of the man who spearheaded going after Oppenheimer after the Manhattan Project was concluded. He is portrayed by Robert Downey Jr., who is incredible. He's incredible in this. And Robert Downey Jr. is incredible in everything, but I wasn't expecting for him to play such a prominent role in this film. And I love that he does. And all of the work here is tremendous. Emily Blunt as Oppenheimer's wife, Florence Pugh as his like communist lover, Cillian Murphy himself, like I've said. Matt Damon is awesome in this. And it has all of these like really famous actors. Like Josh Hartnett is in this, and these faces just like pop up, and they're incredible, like world-class actors in this, and they all do tremendous work. This is a top-tier Nolan film, and I really can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait to sit down and watch it at home again. And what I love about Nolan's movies too is they're very deep. He doesn't make shallow films. He makes films that have a ton of detail just in the script alone that you are not going to get the first time watching. The Dark Knight tackles subjects like government surveillance and are you willing to do what it takes to stop the bad guy and anarchy. The Dark Knight Rises talked about, it came up, and that movie was filmed during Occupy Wall Street. I was there in New York, right there where they filmed it when they were filming it. And that movie was about all that political stuff surrounding the haves and the have-nots and the wealthy and the 1%. And Interstellar is about love and family and sacrifice and what would you be willing to do to save the world. And love doesn't transcend, it transcends boundaries and time and borders and space and all these things. And he makes these movies that are about everything. And I love that Oppenheimer is a movie that, yes, it's a biopic, but it's also a movie that's about everything. And it's just great stuff from Nolan. Yeah, it's one of the best movies of the year. I was enthralled with the entire thing from top to bottom. Like I said, it feels like a lot because it is a lot. This is a movie that doesn't really slow down at all, and it milks every single second out of that 3-hour runtime. So Oppenheimer, one of the best movies of the year. It's tremendous. Nolan continues to he like breaks into genres that I don't expect him to break into, and he always has A+ results. He just does. When he made an incredible comic book movie trilogy with the Batman series. He has done space sci-fi with Interstellar. He's done heady sci-fi with Inception. He's done film noir with Memento. He's done a crime thriller with Insomnia. He's done a war movie with Dunkirk. I mean, the guy just... The Prestige. I mean, come on. The guy just knows how to make great cinema and knows how to tell compelling and emotional stories without feeling like we're being manipulated. So love this one, Oppenheimer. You got to see it. It's great. Thank you so much for checking out the video. If you liked it, found it helpful, I hope you consider subscribing. You'd also like and share the video. That tells the powers that be, YouTube, that's worth promoting. And hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think of Oppenheimer. Is it amazing? Where would you rank it among Nolan's films? And I'll see you next Wednesday at 9 a.m.